Discovered my wife was sleeping with her coworker while I was focused on building our future. Now I'm heading for divorce and planning a bit of payback. I, 27 male, is married to 26 female. We've been together for 5 years, married for 3. No kids, both of us working decent jobs in IT. We don't own any property, just renting an apartment. Our finances? Mostly separate. No loans hanging over us, and our earnings are about the same. Here's the thing. 10 days ago, I found out that she was cheating on me. Yes, you heard that right. I overheard her talking on the phone, and as soon as I entered the room, the call just stopped. At 3 a.m., I did what I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. What did I find? The call logs from that evening were wiped clean, gone. That made me suspicious, so I dug deeper. That's when I found out she's using Telegram, something I didn't even know she had because we always use WhatsApp for everything. Lately, I've been buried in work, trying to secure a promotion. Competing against 2 other colleagues, it's been intense, so I haven't been around much, not at home, not paying attention. Turns out she's been having an affair with a coworker. It's been going on for about 9 weeks. They've been sexting, swapping nude pictures, getting pretty creative, I'd say. It's obvious now it was just about sex, just a bit of fun. She's mentioned to him a few times that she doesn't want him thinking it's anything more than that. They've hooked up 4 times. I took screenshots of everything, every dirty little message, but I couldn't bring myself to confront her. I was in shock, completely rattled. I thought if I brought it up, everything would just implode. For days, I was numb, didn't know what to do with myself. She asked if I was okay, and I just mumbled something about work being stressful. People at the office started noticing too, asking if I was all right, so I lied. I said my aunt had passed away. Then, I took 2 weeks off and let HR know about the cheating. 4 days ago, she told me she was going on a trip, supposedly for work, but I knew better. I was a wreck, threw up that morning, felt feverish, so I begged her to stay. She just said she'd love to, but the trip was important. At that moment, I knew this marriage was done. I asked my brother to tail her and get proof. Yesterday, he caught them, right in the act. A picture of them kissing, that was it. Proof, plain as day. I was crushed. I cried, like really cried. Wanted to drink myself numb, but my brother wouldn't let me. I wanted revenge, so I decided I'm going to tell her I'm seeing someone else and then walk out. I know she'll try to play the victim, spin some sob story to her friends and her very conservative parents, who'll probably be furious at me, but then I'll drop the bomb. Show everyone the proof. No one will believe her, not even her own family. I talked to my dad's friend, who's also our neighbor and a lawyer. He said the divorce should be smooth since I've got evidence. There's nothing much to divide anyway, just some jewelry my mom gave her. Today, I'm packing up and moving out to stay with a friend who has an extra room. I'm just waiting for her to come home so I can leave. My wedding ring already off my finger. Update. I can see that she's deeply remorseful and willing to do anything I ask, but I'm still torn. Should I forgive her? I wrote this post about 8 days ago, but only got around to posting it yesterday, so here's what's happened since then. When I told her I had an affair, she was completely blindsided. I tried to get out of there as quickly as possible, with my clothes already packed in the car, but she wouldn't let me go without a barrage of questions. She kept asking, "Who is she? Do you really love her more than me?" She started to mumble and I just snapped, yelling, "Let go." I hadn't raised my voice in all our 5 years together, but I bolted to my car and left. After that, she called me at least 10 times, which I ignored. Then the texts started flooding in. Hundreds of them. I finally texted back, telling her to stop or I'd block her and that we could discuss our future in a few days. The texts slowed down, and eventually we agreed to meet. 3 days later, we met up. She looked terrible, weak, hadn't eaten, and her eyes were swollen from crying. She began by saying she knows I don't have an affair because she knows the kind of person I am and that I've never had the time for something like that. She begged me not to leave, saying she's sorry and desperately wants my forgiveness. After half an hour, I came clean. She then admitted that the trip wasn't all work, but that she'd only been with him for 3 days. The extra day, that was just for fooling around, which is why she couldn't stay to take care of me. I asked for her phone and she handed it over. Surprisingly, nothing had been deleted. She told me she'd blocked her affair partner and told him never to contact her again. She insisted he meant nothing to her and that she only loves me. She also confessed everything to her HR and said she plans to quit. She even reached out to the affair partner's wife with the proof. I told her I didn't believe her and that I wanted a divorce. She broke down, crying, pleading for another chance. It took about 2 hours, and then, at her home, the affair partner's wife showed up. My wife asked for forgiveness from her too, showing proof of them hanging out, kissing, and exchanging texts. The woman started crying and cursing my wife, telling her she hopes our marriage falls apart. She left, but I gave her my number for any additional proof she might need. I asked my wife what she thought would happen, what was the outcome she was expecting. We were supposed to buy a home this year, start a family next. She had no answer, just silence. I could tell she was genuinely sorry, and I'm sure she wouldn't do it again. But why should I give her another chance? I've spent the last 5 years dedicated to loving her and building our life together. The next day, her father called me, apologizing on her behalf and saying it's up to me whether to divorce or not. He asked me to consider giving her another chance, saying she's sincere in wanting to make things right. Since then, nothing much has changed. I've gone back to the office. My wife hasn't resigned yet, but it seems her affair partner has. HR apparently fired him, while she's been put on hold since she's crucial to the team. I found this out through Facebook from HR. She keeps texting me and even visited my brother, thinking I was staying with him. But as soon as she realized I wasn't there, she left. Right now, nothing's really progressed. I know she's incredibly remorseful and she's done everything I could ask for, but should I forgive her? The truth is, I still love her, but I don't want to end up in a toxic or loveless marriage, and I need to know that I can trust my partner completely. Now on to the next story. My ex-wife reached out to let me know that the guy she cheated with and left me for is treating her badly. I told her I don't give a damn, and now people are shaming me on social media. I'm 31 now, and my ex-wife, who I'll call Lisa, is 35. We got married 10 years ago, just as I turned 21 and finished college. We were together for 5 years. For most of that time, I thought we were happy. I know I was. I've always worked in IT, and that hasn't changed. We rarely argued, and our sex life seemed pretty good. But a few months before I caught her cheating, she started to pull away. She used to be the one who would often initiate intimacy, but that suddenly changed. What was once a daily thing became weekly, and then, in the last 2 weeks before I exposed her, it stopped entirely. I discovered her affair when she left her phone out one day, and it was still open to a nude selfie she'd sent to some number I didn't recognize. As devastated as I was, I kept my cool and snapped pictures of her phone with mine. I went through her messages and saw the whole conversation between her and the guy, a gym buddy I was unknowingly footing the bill for. I didn't confront her immediately because those texts told me everything I needed to know. They'd been hooking up in our bed while I was at work. I stayed quiet, and the next Saturday, when I knew she'd be out at her so-called double yoga class, which she claimed would take about 3 hours, I packed up my things, loaded the car, and left. I had already consulted with a divorce lawyer, so I knew I'd be okay. At 25, I wasn't swimming in money. Her father had left her around $200,000 when he passed, so she was well off, but I had no claim to that, nor did I want one. We didn't have kids, even though she'd always said we would start trying when she hit 30. That birthday came and went, but instead of starting a family with me, she chose to cheat. Even though I was the only one working, Lisa had a hefty amount of money in her own right and a college degree. She'd even taught school for a couple of years before we got married. I left the divorce papers on the kitchen table. Naturally, she blew up my phone later with all kinds of apologies, begging and pleading, but I ignored her. Her friends called too, leaving nasty messages about how I was a coward and never truly loved her. Otherwise, how could I just ghost her? I didn't respond to any of them. The only person I did call was the guy's wife, who dumped him on the spot. I guess it worked out for my ex though, because she and her boyfriend got married just a few months after our divorce was finalized. The only time I saw her again was in court to finalize the divorce, where I didn't have to pay a dime in alimony. It was a clean break. She didn't look at me once, just kept her head down. She even brought her gym boyfriend with her, and he kept flexing, trying to look tough, like he was ready to fight. I just shook my head at him, thinking, You're getting exactly what you deserve. Since then, I've gone on a few dates and had sex a couple of times, but I haven't been in another long-term relationship. That's by choice. In many ways, I'm still not over what happened. I don't love her anymore, but I've lost interest in falling in love again. I've reconnected with some friends I'd neglected during my marriage, mainly because my ex disapproved of me being friends with anyone. I used to be active on Facebook, but now I don't bother. Anyone I care about, I see or talk to directly, so I don't need it. Apparently, Lisa spun some story that I was mentally abusive, and that's why she had no choice but to leave me for her affair partner. My parents and close friends didn't buy it though. She even tried to get me fired by selling that lie to my boss, probably as revenge for wrecking her boyfriend's marriage. It's ironic since it was his newfound single life that finally made an honest woman out of her. I just showed my boss the texts where she begged for mercy and forgiveness, admitting to the affair and acknowledging I was a good husband. He basically apologized and handed me 2 weeks of paid time off to heal. Fast forward 6 years, and I'm still unmarried, working in the same area and for the same firm, but earning more. I have my own house, a fair amount of savings, a 401k, a car, and life is generally wonderful. I'm content with where I am. I can do whatever I want, when I want, and I don't have to answer to anyone. Sure, I could buy a house if I wanted, but I'm content with where I am. Then, only last week, Lisa, my ex, began messaging me again. I never blocked her number because there was no real need. She hadn't tried to reach out since those desperate messages years ago, begging me not to go through with the divorce and telling me that her affair partner, who she's now married to, didn't mean anything to her, blah, blah, blah. Her initial messages were friendly. Hey, it's Lisa. Long time no talk. How've you been? I know I messed up. Can we talk? Then she started calling me, at least 10 times. I didn't pick up and I didn't reply to her texts either. Is this still your number? I talked to your friend and he said you're still using it since you replied to him. Please talk to me. Next, she started telling me how much she missed me and how I was the only man who ever treated her right. Then came the more personal stuff. Affair partner is such a jerk. He hurts me. I don't know what to do. Letting you go was the biggest mistake of my life. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I still ignored her. Then she started listing the ways he's been hurting her. I don't ever want to be in touch with her again. So I texted our mutual friend, a guy who once called me a coward but who I still keep in contact with because I know his family. I told him what Lisa said and asked him to reach out to the authorities if her claims were true, because I don't give a damn about Lisa anymore. I wouldn't care if she starved in the street or died, but maybe her friends care. I actually used those exact words. Looking back, it's clear I do care, at least enough to send such a hateful message through someone else. But I didn't want to get directly involved. I also think Lisa is trying to manipulate the nice guy I used to be. The old me would have rushed to her rescue and been a shoulder to cry on. Not anymore. The mutual friend told me I was a terrible person and a monster, yada yada. I told him to go to hell and then blocked him. For the first time in ages, I logged into Facebook. As expected, not a single person I once considered a friend had reached out to comfort me or offer support when I was getting cheated on and divorced. I got a lot of support from my family and real friends, including coworkers who become close outside of work. Now, Lisa's friends have been sending me messages saying they were right to support her because I'm abandoning her in her time of need. Like seriously, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm her ex-husband, the guy she cheated on. They know about the alleged abuse, so as her friends, what are they doing about it? I'm just some guy she hurt a long time ago. But the abuse kept coming. So I screenshot all the texts she sent me recently, along with the ones from years ago. I've never changed my number and I never delete anything, and decided to stop taking the high road on social media. I plastered all their feeds with her messages where she begged me to take her back and admitted to cheating. Finally, they left me alone. Now she's still texting, complaining about what I said to the mutual friend and accusing me of never loving her, calling me an evil person. I haven't responded to her. Honestly, I feel good about what I did, and in a twisted way, I feel like I've got closure. Lisa, if you're reading this, f*** off and mind your business.